Okay, so I'm going to show you guys the overall process for turning one of your sketches. Here, I'll do this one down in the corner into final art. Okay, so I'll just go File, New. Again, we want 8.5 by 11 artboard. Just one is fine for this, and then hit Create. All right, there's our new artboard. So I will just drag this here and drop it right on my document. So what's nice is you can crop inside of Illustrator if you need to do that. You need the Properties panel. So that's this one right here. If it's not visible, you can go to Window, Properties, and it should pop up. There we go. So since this image file is selected, I'm then going to hit Crop Image. I will just drag this around my image there. Hit Enter. There we go. So remember also, anytime you import a new image file, make sure you click Embed. Right now, it embeds it automatically if you crop an image. Let's put this one in here. So if you are not doing a crop, you need to hit Embed there. Okay? Simple as that. All right, so make sure you guys are caught up on the previous videos about using the layers. So first I want to change my sketch layer here. I want to change this to a template layer. So I'm going to double click on that and call this one Sketch. Check Template right here and do OK. So that automatically dims it and locks it, which is nice. So then I'll make a new layer. So the general way to work with any project we're making in this class is background to foreground, big shapes down to small shapes. Okay? That's the best way to kind of just make sure everything's organized well in your image that you're creating. All right, so I'm just going to cover everything up, get a nice light gray value there to cover everything. There we go. And now, how do I see my sketch? How do I see what I'm trying to trace over with the pen tool? Well, that's where, since I made this a template layer, I can hit Control Y, and every layer that's not a template layer will change to this wireframe view. So I'm hitting Command Y because I'm on a Mac, or if you're on a PC, it's Control Y. All right, so now I'll switch to my pen tool, and I'm going to trace all these other shapes in the background as well. Hit Control Y again, and I want these to be, I don't want a lot of value contrast in the sky, so I want them just to be slightly darker. Okay. So I'm not being too careful as I trace over these shapes. Every design is going to change as you make it into a digital version. Okay, so nothing will be a direct translation from rough sketch to that digital art, as long as you're getting close. And remember, I can always come back with my direct selection tool and readjust any of these shapes. So that's what's really nice about Illustrator. Hit Control Y again. Now I can see all my shapes. Nice. So some of these I might change, so some are slightly lighter. Oh, that just disappeared there. So some are slightly lighter than the background, some are slightly darker than the background, just to get that variety in there. So here I can just use the eyedropper tool, so remember that tool right here. I select this shape, switch to the eyedropper tool, the letter I, and I can click on any other shape and it sucks up its characteristics. So in that case, just the lighter value there. Okay, so I'm going to call this layer background. Now I'm going to just lock that. That one is probably done for now. And so there's no one way to organize your document, but the more complicated they get, the more careful you will need to be with organizing your layers. Okay, Command Y again. So I'm just going to do one layer here for the focal point. So remember that focal point should have probably your either your pure black or pure white shape. So in my case here, I have my focal point is pure black, and since it's overlapping a shape, I want it to overlap a shape that's pure white. So there's a pure white one. Command Y or Control Y. P for pen tool. Okay. Now we have pure black against pure white, and that will get the most visual attention to make sure it's standing out as a focal point. Okay, Control Y again. Okay, we'll lock that one, make a new one, call this foreground. Do one shape here for this kind of hill. So even though this is an abstract composition, can sometimes start to look like representational objects. Now that's way too dark. I don't want that hill to get as much attention as the focal point, so I'll lighten it up just a little bit. Maybe a little lighter. Yeah, that's probably better. Okay. I'll do another shape here for kind of this shadowy shape that basically acts as a leading line. Okay. So we're getting close. So you need 15 shapes and 3 different types of lines in your final artwork. So usually I will start with all shapes and then I can add in some lines. So maybe I'll go back here to the background. So I'm going to lock that foreground layer, go back to my background layer. And remember, if this isn't here, it's under Window, Layers, if you need to find that Layers panel. Now I'm going to unlock my background. Maybe I'll just put a few strokes through here too to kind of just act as some more variety of leading lines. I'm going to flip this around so it's just that stroke. Switch to Selection tool, select that stroke, make it a little thicker. Maybe I'll make it one of these textured lines like that. Alright, yeah, that looks kind of cool. Let me put 1 or 2 of these, another one here. Select that, increase the stroke, find a slightly different stroke to give it. Maybe we'll do this one. There we go. Okay, that's probably good for the background now. I'm going to just hit Control Y again to see my original sketch. I think I'll put a few more, kind of just repeat these shapes here a little bit. Maybe put a different kind of another kind of hill mound shape right there in the background. Or in the foreground. Okay, I'm going to suck up the value of this shape, and I want it to be either just a little darker or a little lighter. Let's try a little darker. There we go. One more. So that's why I say you'll find things that you want to add once your work is digital that you didn't have there in your sketch, but as long as you're getting close, I want this one to be a little lighter. Okay, so I actually want this shape here to be behind that hill shape. So remember, you can reorder that here in my layers. I'm just going to drag this one to the bottom there. Now it's behind that. Okay, and maybe I want to put a stroke around this one so I have a nice dark stroke on there. And then I can get that third variety of stroke. Let's see if I can get any of these artistic ones. Oops. Oh, here they are. That one's kind of cool. Just make it a little smaller. There we go. All right. So this is just basically an example. It's pretty simple and straightforward, not a lot to it. If I was to do this for a final piece I want to spend a little more time on, I probably add some more varieties down here in these shapes, maybe some more strokes around these other ones, things like that. But basically there's a good amount of simple shapes in here, and it has a clear focal point. We have at least 15 shapes and 3 different types of lines, and that's going to be what I'm looking for in this project. Okay, so go back and see, rewatch that clipping mask video. I want to put a clipping mask on this, so I'm going to switch to my rectangle tool, hit Control Y, and have my rectangle frame match what my sketch frame is. Okay, so whatever you want to clip to, you want it to be on the very top. Okay, so this is on top of everything. I don't want my sketch to even be included in anything anymore, so I'm just going to turn that off. So you need to select everything you want to be in the clipping mask. And remember, don't do this clipping mask until you're completely done with any artwork, because you can go back in and re-edit things, but it's a little bit difficult too. Okay, so I'm going to come in here, select everything. I say I'm completely done. I'm almost ready to assemble this in the template. Then right click and say Make Clipping Mask. Now, doesn't that look much nicer? Okay. So I was able to have all of these shapes. It's quicker for me to build all these shapes coming outside of the frame here, outside of the frame up here, because I don't need to worry about them fitting right in that frame at that time. I can do that all at the end. So again, put that shape you want to clip to on top. Sometimes I'll make it a nice bright color so you can clearly see that it's on top of everything. Select everything, right click and say Make Clipping Mask. Okay, so notice that messes with your layers. It takes everything off a layer, so that's why you have to do that at the very final step. And now there's one clip group on that one layer. The only thing you need is a nice frame here around your composition. So I'm going to put one more rectangle on there. Turn off the fill. We already has a black stroke on there. Just want that black stroke to be a little thicker so it's nice and ready to go. That's maybe a little too thick, something like that. Alright, so in the next video I'll show you how to take this image and assemble this in the template file and make a PDF file that you will be ready to turn into Canvas.